Today, on The American Land Seller, what happens when your family's history on some land stretches back nearly 140 years? Today, I'm joined by Texas Realtor, landowner, and business owner, Jenna Searcey. Her family's roots in Knox County, Texas date back to 1887. And that history has shaped the way she approaches land, agriculture, and the people she serves. In this episode, we talk about what it means to be a steward of land that has been in a family for generations. We discuss why legacy matters, how rural communities are changing, and why buying or selling land is often about much more than a transaction. We also dive into the Texas land market, the unique challenges facing rural property owners, and why understanding insurance is just as important as understanding real estate. From protecting farm and ranch operations to the importance of water in West Texas, Jenna shares practical insights that every landowner should hear. Along the way, we discuss the value of the Realtors Land Institute, building relationships in the land bit, and why local knowledge continues to matter in an increasingly digital world. If you own land, work in agriculture, or simply appreciate the stories that make rural America special, I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation.
Welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast with your hosts, Koby Rickertsen and Brittany Murphy. Koby is an accredited land consultant and the CEO managing broker of Iron Horse Land Company, a multi-state land brokerage specializing in farm, ranch, recreational, and development land across the heartland. Brittany is the Chief Marketing Officer of Iron Horse, bringing top-level marketing strategy, brand development, and creative execution built specifically for the land business. Each week, we bring you real-world insight and expert conversations on land sales, marketing, regulations, economics, and the trends shaping the land market across America.
Okay, Koby and our special guests, let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the American Land Seller Podcast, and we are going to go all the way to Monday, Texas for today's episode. Super excited to have Jenna Searcey from Sunset Realty Team City Real Estate Company in Monday, Texas. Jenna, how are you today?
I just couldn't be better, Koby. Thanks for asking.
Man, it's so fun to have you on here. I wanted to talk just a little bit. You and I actually have gotten to know each other through the Realtors Land Institute, which is a lot of my friends in the land world. Actually, I have met through the Realtors Land Institute. And this, I think you were telling me right before we came on, was your first ever National Land Conference that you went to in March last year. What did you think of the National Land Conference?
Okay, so I thought it was very valuable for my education, for selling land, for talking with people about land, and also for networking. And what I really loved the most about this particular land conference was that we had like a town hall meeting for the data centers, and it made me feel educated because, like a lot of other people, that seems to be coming about on everybody's in our peripherals. They're not stopping. So it was good to learn some information about that.
Yeah, and I thought what was probably one of the most interesting things for me, because I've been to several of them in the past, and this was by far the largest, and the venue I don't think was quite ready for as many people as we had, but everybody was smiling, laughing, having a good time. I really didn't see anybody having any sort of uncomfortability while we were there getting packed in, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now, you went to also, staying on RLI, you went to that boot camp that they have and took the 3 core classes for your ALC in Chicago, correct?
I did. So, of course, the education was great for that, but also like meeting people that now I have familiar faces at the land conferences and on our RLI boards that we chat about land on. And it's just really helped. It helped give me confidence, and it's a lot of knowledge, and the instructors were great, and I love the boot camp purpose. Like sitting down and learning this material helps me more than most anything does.
Yeah, and those are pretty cool. Like they have gone away from what the other boot camp used to be. This is kind of like the mini form, but you used to be able to go once a year to get all of the required classes all in a row, like in a 10-day period.
They talked about that. They talked about it being chaos.
In Oklahoma, the last one, I think, well, no, maybe, yeah, I think the last one was in Oklahoma that they had the full blown, all of them. And I think I was like second or third from the end. So by the time I got there, it's like these people have known each other their whole lives and I don't know any of them, So it was kind of interesting as an instructor to walk into that. But we had a blast. I still have some people that I got to know a little bit when I was there. And it's a unique experience. But I always was jealous of those guys because you go to the land conference and there's those little classes, the class of whatever, and they all know each other and are best friends. And so I did mine like a one-off. So I went to a couple in person and a couple online and got hodgepodged my classes together. And it's kind of during like COVID and stuff. So the finishing up, it was interesting. But well, we are happy to talk to you today. Now, you have been in Knox County. Your family, I guess, not you personally probably, but your family has been in Knox County, Texas since 1887. Wow, that's some roots. How has the roots that you've got established with your family and everything helped you with the way that you look at land today?
Well, so we've just been stewards of the land since 1887. Whenever you have your own property and you're raising your families on there, it generally it gives you those deep connections to the territory. I rode around with my granddad. He would check on farms and how the cotton was growing, and we'd talk about, the old phrases from the Farmer's Almanac of, the different colors of shades that the cotton blooms come in, and we'd listen to the wheat as the wind moved across it. Makes a nice little sound. And then, of course, he had a ranch, and so he would feed his deer, and we'd have a long stretch that we looked at the deer, and it just really helped cement from such a young age how important land is to my family and also to our community and in broader terms, obviously, as well.
Well, and with the age of the landowner that we have today, having that connection of your family owning property since in the same space for that many years, you have to have a little bit more of that feeling that those guys have as they're trying to maybe consider separating and selling off part of that legacy, so I think that's got to be like a benefit for you probably to have that history when you're sitting down at a kitchen table with potential sellers, I would guess.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not something that I learned later on in life. It's something that I was born and raised to know and to love and to learn about.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people like. It's a transaction for a lot of folks. But the reality is our jobs isn't a whole lot different from the residential agents in the sense of, we have to have those emotional conversations and I think that having that history and having the understanding of it has got to be a huge asset for you.
Absolutely, because it is. It's land just isn't dirt. It's absolutely legacy, and it's memories, and it's family history, and also financial security. It's just I feel it in my soul that how land really resonates with me, and also for my clients, of course, because I'm now working with people who might not have families to pass it on down to, and where do we go from here? And it's such a joy to see land passed on to people who can now make their new memories with and their family history about. It's good watching it pass hands, and yeah, it is. And watching these people who have cared for this land all of their life, who are at the end of theirs, be able to have some financial security moving on to their last years in life.
Well, and that's like, we had training today and we're going through like 4 parts to, listings. And we had training this morning on like the kitchen table, doing the pitch for why you should be the listing. And I think that's, it's important to keep that in mind, that a lot of our clients that we're dealing with, they really are, they're going to have a lot of money, and so being that, I coach my guys on, we're not salespeople, man. We're advisors, we're guides, we're marketing specialists, right? There's really the land will sell itself if you position it right and market it and you make the right phone calls and things like that,
Absolutely.
But you don't have to try and, sell somebody on a lot of what we're doing. There's a natural buyer out there, but I think it's important to keep that in mind, that these people have been on this land and their families have been on this land for a really long time. And coaching them through what this looks like. How can they take the substantial income win that they're going to have and not have to give all their money to Uncle Sam and all that stuff. And so having those connections that you can put your clients through with.
Absolutely. And, so I finish up my last class on my ALC journey. It starts next week, and that's going to be the 1031 exchange course. And I'm pretty familiar with 1031 exchange, but there is a lot to learn about it. So I'm super excited for the RLI and ACL programs to get even more knowledge so I can pass that on to my clients.
Yeah, and I think Jim's a pretty good teacher. I went through that class years ago. I think that's still the same. There's only one teacher for 1031 exchange. So he's a fixture at Realtors Land Institute. But you'll enjoy the class. You'll definitely learn a ton. There's several core classes that you have to take, as everybody knows. 101, an investment analysis, and not transitioning. Transitioning, right?
The transitional land. Transitional land was the other one. Yeah.
What are some of the other ones that you took? You're going to take 1031 exchange.
Mm-hmm. So I've also took the mapping class, and that was great. That really elevated me as an agent to learn how to do these maps and spend the time to really set myself apart from everyone else and my listings apart from other listings.
Yeah, Land ID is such a spectacular tool for land users. And
they're
not even a sponsor of this podcast. So I'm not being monetized by saying that. This really is a great tool. And
yeah, me either. And now they have on your car, you can as you're driving along these properties, you can have Land ID as CarPlay and mark as you go where you are to then get back to the computer and say, oh, there was a well right there. Oh, this was the tank right there. It's good. I'm excited. They always come out with new things.
Yeah, they're definitely the cutting edge when it comes to mapping stuff, at least right now. So like I always tell my guys, don't be afraid to go look at something. Just because today this is perfect doesn't mean it's going to be tomorrow. But
that's right. That's right.
Well, let's take a quick break, Jenna, and we will be right back. Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Jenna Searcey with the Sunset Realty team at City Real Estate. Jenna specializes in Texas farm, ranch, and rural real estate, helping families buy, sell, and invest with confidence. She also owns Charles Baker Insurance, protecting farms, ranches, businesses, and families since 1955, including specialized farm, ranch, and pivot irrigation coverage. Learn more at jennasearcey.com or call 9402-033154. Sunset Realty team is proudly brokered by City Real Estate located in Monday, Texas.
All right, we are back here with Jenna Searcey from Monday, Texas. And Jenna, I apologize. We had some technical difficulties, and so we may look like we're wearing different clothes, but I swear we're not, changing our clothes every single segment. We had to stop and come back at this another day. So I appreciate your patience with us as we had some technical difficulties, and I hope you're doing good again today.
Yes, I'm actually wearing the same shirt.
Well, look at you. You're way more savvy than I am. I thought about it. I was like, I probably should, but I went with a different way. So, but anyway, we are getting to know you a little bit. And one of the cool things that I think about you is that you are both a realtor and you are an insurance agent. You own an insurance company. So let's talk about the insurance side of things a little bit. How did you get into insurance and how is that going for you?
Okay, well, with insurance, like the most common ways to get into insurance is through a family line of it. Like there's not a whole lot of graduating seniors say, I want to be an insurance agent. So it's really kind of a pass down. And I grew up in this insurance office, so it feels like it's part of myself. My mom owned it, and I've been working since I was, 5, 6 years old, answering phones or doing whatever job she could think of for me. And I'm doing the same with my kids. So they come to work with me over the summer and they have little jobs getting the mail on. And I think the two, insurance and real estate, really mesh well together. Okay, we're protecting people's assets. We're protecting the biggest investment a lot of people will make over the course of their life, making sure that they buy the right property, it's a good fit for them, and then covering it afterwards, whether that's a pivot. We've got a kind of a niche at our office for pivot insurance. We work really closely with one of the dealers here who will get out and fix it and help us with claims, and we'll get them insured because a pivot is no small amount of money. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes, definitely never less than $50,000. And so, yeah, we protect their assets for the farm. We make sure that if they have a piece of property that's growing cotton and the pivot goes down, that we get it fixed quickly because this is people's livelihoods. And, same thing with the equipment, the farms, the tractors, the combines, all of that. We can get it all insured as well as, their house and the way they drive to their property.
That's really cool. Pivot insurance, that's probably something, I guess I haven't had much experience with it, but I'm sure that some of the farmers around our area probably have something similar. But you guys, that's kind of unique to your specific office, correct? Like there's not a whole lot of people that do it around you.
Yes, and not a whole lot of people who get with the companies that I'm appointed with. We have diversified, and they're kind of selective on who they would like to be. They want to make sure the agency is going to take care of their clients, and so.
Yeah, and so your office is a second generation office to you, right? Your mom bought it, and it's a third generation insurance office, right? So that the original owner was Charles Baker at some point in history. And so now you have Charles Baker Insurance and you've bought that from your mom now and you run it. So kind of like we talked about in the first segment, like legacy is not something that's foreign to you.
No. And, it's really more so than selling land. It's the legacy and the stewardship that I want to pass down. It's the principles of land ownership. And that's how I approach helping people purchase property, is thinking about the legacy, whether it's coming from the seller who's had this great life with this land and he's ready to pass it on to a new generation buyer, which, by the way, I can really relate with because that's my dream. I want to own a ranch, and that's what I'm working towards. I've got some farmland from my granddad, and that's wonderful. And I'm learning a lot about managing farms and everything that comes with that. Luckily to have, a good tenant. But it's about the legacy and passing things down and starting something that we can be proud of and share with others and our families.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think those of us that do specialize in land, or even in the rural, like if we're in real estate in the rural part of the United States, like that legacy is really still something that, especially when you have that connection to the land, as far as that goes, that's still that really important part of people's lives.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a lot of guys that are maybe listening to this from the city don't really understand that connection. They have a different style of legacy, that they have connections with. But for us that grew up in farm country, that history on the land is something special.
Very special.
I'm just curious though, like Jenna, how do you juggle the real estate and the insurance? How do you? We joke around about it. Like I have several licenses in different states. So, but just keeping track of the regulations and all that on just one industry is hard enough, let alone having to look at two total industries and be in compliance with two different commissions.
Yeah. Well, I cannot do this by myself. I have great people who work for me. I've got a lady in my office who I depend on entirely. She's one of my dearest friends. And that's with insurance. And I luckily have the same thing with real estate. I've got my supervisor, who I probably don't need a supervisor after 6 years, but I really love the team effort of two brains working out these problems. And in fact, so a slight nod to my supervisor, Janie, she actually got her ALC designation official today. So she made the little list. So Janie Hendricks with City Real Estate. Go, Janie.
I just voted on her yesterday. So
you did. All right.
Well, I didn't have any issues with her. So apparently, she did a great job. Those packets, I don't know if she's told you about it, but that ALC packet, that is a bear.
Yes.
They are not messing around. When you earn that, you definitely earn it. So congratulations to her.
Yes.
And we're excited to have her in the small club of ALCs that are around the country.
I'm coming y'all's way.
Come on, man. We're ready for you. We're ready for you. Shifting back to real estate, what makes, in your part of the country, what are we looking at to find the value in a piece of land in your part of Texas?
Well, my part of Texas is very similar with everyone else's. We're looking for water. Okay, this is what we have to have. All right, no matter what you have in mind for development of the property, it's got to have that water. And our water table is at about 40 feet here, so it's not some large effort to drill, but we do want to maintain our water. And luckily, we're part of a groundwater conservation district. I don't know what we would do without them. They've been essential for me in learning more about land. We'll go to classes, and we've got, the director over there. He really helps us out. So water is going to be the most important thing. Then we're also looking for soil composition. We want to make sure it's going to grow the products. In my area for farmland, it's mainly wheat and cotton and peanuts. And the peanuts are nice because it's also a driver for the waterfowl, which is a huge part of Knox County hunting. We're very big. We get a lot of birds fly over our skies, and that's nice. Yeah, those are probably the biggest things about the land is what the soil is made of and where are we getting water, how much of it is can there be. And then also, let's just tie right back into the stewardship of the water. We want to make sure it's around for generations to come. So not abusing what we have found so naturally, percolating under the ground.
Yeah, my friend Justin Osborne. I don't know if you've met him or not, but he's from Colorado, and he is famous for saying that water or whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting over. So
I like that.
We definitely, especially in Colorado, where they have water court and a few other interesting things that a lot of other states don't have. So,
yeah,
but water is a huge thing no matter where you're at. It sounds like, and I guess I didn't do that part of my research very good. Where exactly in Texas are you guys located? Is it
okay? So I'm in Monday, and that's halfway in between Abilene and Wichita Falls. And then also between Lubbock and Fort Worth. So we're quite literally the middle of nowhere. But we have a nice appeal, okay? So it's more of the small town lifestyle here. We're community based and we're people based, and it's just relationships matter. Our personal worth matters. A handshake. We're in the land of good old boy handshakes, and I really take that to heart. That people mean what they say and they say what they mean most of the time.
Yeah, and then that's awesome. I think that that part of Texas, it seems like you do have an awful lot of agriculture around that. There's some parts of Texas where it's just open ranches, and some parts is all about the oil, and so, but I know going through that part of Texas that you guys do have an awful lot of agriculture, kind of similar to where I'm at in Nebraska, a lot of farmers and things like that. So that's really cool. So that is important that we do, have that water access, especially for irrigation and for development and things like that. What's important local knowledge as someone that's buying or selling in your area needs to know?
Important local knowledge for buying and selling in this area. Well, it's a lot about not what you know, but about who you know. A lot of people who might not be publicly listing their land, it's important to have that inside access to what might happen, who could be swayed into selling, and also just I think that's the most important thing. It's not what you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
It is. I mean, that kind of translates back to kind of what we try and tell our clients all the time is great. It's America. You can sell that sucker on your own all you want to. But the statistics show, just in the homeownership statistics is, 94% of all properties are sold with a real estate agent. Or 98% of all properties are sold with a real estate agent. 94% of them are sold with a realtor. That's a pretty impressive deal. So eventually, there's going to be a professional involved. And so knowing those people and who do you need to go to and things like that, I mean, I think you're right on there. That is probably very sound advice, is get to know the people involved. And that's the great thing about our profession, right? Is, we're one of the first people meet when they come into the community.
Yeah, I love that part about it. I love introducing new people to the place that I love and I call home. It's really special. And I don't only just sell land, I will also sell houses too. And I gotta say, I love a first time home buyer. There's just something very special about helping somebody with that first purchase. And that translates perfectly over to land. Everybody's gonna make their first land purchase eventually if that's something that they're interested in. And, just the price point, you really want that local expert helping you along the way. Getting to the closing table is not always smooth sailing. Sometimes there's big roadblocks in the way. And one thing in particular about my area is the tax records and the deeds. And sometimes it's a bit confusing and convoluted. And we've had our markers for the corner of a stump. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's 4 of them over there. Which one could it be? And this is what's written down in the deeds from 1887 or whatever. So it can be a challenge if you don't have the right professionals in your corner helping you along the way.
Yeah, that is true words have not been spoken, I don't think,
Yeah.
on the American Land Seller podcast. But hey, Jenna, do you mind? Let's take a break. And you got one more segment in you. You got time for one more shot?
I would love to, Koby. Thank you.
That's awesome. All right, we will be right back.
The American Land Seller podcast is proud to be sponsored by Iron Horse Land Company. At Iron Horse, land is not a side business. It is all we do. From farms and ranches to recreational and development properties, our team brings deep land expertise, boots on the ground experience, and high-quality marketing to every listing. Whether you own land today or are planning for the future, Iron Horse Land Company helps landowners make confident, informed decisions. Visit ironhorselandcompany.com to learn more.
All right, we're back here with Jenna Searcey from Sunset Realty Team, and they are with City Real Estate out of Monday, Texas. And, you know, because she had 5 or 6 extra minutes in the day, she also owns Charles Barker Insurance Company. So just probably in the Rotary Club or something like that too, right, Jenna? Just really
Lions
active in
Club.
your community.
Lions
What's it?
Club.
What is it?
Lions Club.
Lions Club. Go
Yes.
help the blind. That's
Yeah.
awesome. What do you guys do? I'm curious. I'm in Rotary here in Nebraska, and I was actually the district governor like eons ago for our Rotary district. I'm just curious, what are you guys doing in Texas? Like, what's the cool stuff that the Lions Club is doing there?
Well, since July, I'm now the president of the Lions Club here.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, so we do cleanups for our town. We made we make it work. Okay, so this is a very small town thing. You make what you have work. So we had in our downtown park, we had an old Christmas tree that was there made out of metal, and we wrapped it up in red, white, and blue for the 4th of July event that we had here in town. Okay, so
Very
we do
cool.
that. We send welcome baskets to new people who move to town. Of course, we're always getting glasses to help the blind. We do scholarships. I mean, it's a great program, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well, that's awesome. And congratulations, Madam President. I didn't know I was with Lions Royalty today. All right, well, let's dig into this. You know what? We were talking during the break, Jenna, that you and I have like some parallel stuff going on with our companies, save the fact that I don't do insurance, but I've thought about it. I mean, I just never did. But we have to kind of be a jack of all trades in the areas that we live in, and we serve. Like, we serve with our company, we're across 13 states, but most of our agents are in very rural areas, very low population. And so you kind of have to have that ability to go have knowledge on those farms, ranches, recreational properties, even development, all the way through to residential commercial. I'm sure you're, having to go figure out how to list a commercial property in downtown Monday every once in a while, and so help us out with how does that, just all the stuff that you have going on, how do you keep up with shifting gears on those different properties that you may have to represent?
Well, again, it's about the people around me. So I have Janie, who I'm so thankful for. She helps with me with my commercial items that come up sometimes. And also, the way that we advertise, the way that we market, we can, put it on LoopNet and Crexy. And these are no small amounts of money to advertise on. Like your average seller might not have it. Same with land.com, for our land. It is not cheap to market properties. And it also might take a little bit of experience and an eye. We can't just throw photos up and hope they work. We want them to be good. We want to represent our properties appropriately. We got to make the brochures. And I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of AI flyers, so I make sure that I make my own instead of just putting them into the computer and having it spit it out for me. So just a jack of all trades. And I don't know how I keep up with it, Koby, because we have so many aspects of real estate and so many aspects of insurance, and then to take it home in our family life and how we maintain that balance. I will maintain that balance pretty well because this next week I'm going to Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Alabama for some fun in the sun and sand.
Wow. And, not a lot of people would be brave enough to say that they're going to Alabama for fun and sun. So it seems like this
The
time
weather's supposed to be great. Oh my gosh.
If you see any big land deals down there, I am licensed in Alabama, so I'd be happy to
Great. Well, I can refer you out then because
I'll
I
go.
love referrals.
I will
Love
go down
referrals.
there and partner with something. We'll do a marketing partnership, and I'll be happy to partner with you and do that. But since you brought up referrals though, you and I, again, like I'm just loving the fact that we have an awful lot in common here. We were talking about referrals and networking on the break. Referrals are like lifeblood for most of us, especially in the land world. Talk about like, where are your referrals coming from? Like, where do you get them? I know you're probably, know a lot of people around the country through insurance, through real estate, through the Lions. You probably can refer stuff out. How does that work? And, I think you're a huge fan of referrals, and working together with other agents. Talk about that for just a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, the goal isn't trading referrals because it's expected. It's making sure the clients that we know that we would want to help if we were able get treated the way they should. And it's making sure that they have the best outcome. If we all approach it that everybody wins, including the buyers, the sellers, the agents, that's how relationships are built. And so I'm happy to take on referrals, and I'm also happy to send them off to qualified individuals. I will treat your clients like they're my family, and I would hope that others do the same. And making these connections, making the networking is so important. And right back to the National Land Conference, what an amazing thing to do! I feel so fortunate to be a part of RLI and on my ALC journey.
Yeah, I think that you talk about networking and like going to those meetings, and I'm hoping that you're getting plugged into the Texas chapter of the Realtors Land Institute. Those guys are a hoot, man. There's some crazy people down there and so much fun, and they have so much going on. The ranch tour, I don't know if you've had a chance to check one of those out yet, but they are just, it's a whole lot of stuff going on for the networking and for the education portion of things. But, like you said what I think a lot of, especially RLI members would latch onto, which is it is all about taking care of the client.
Yes.
It realistically is, there's, like we're going through right now a training on listings, right? And so one of the things I keep trying to get through to my guys is you do not have to take every single listing. I would much rather have a cordial relationship or a friendship with a seller and not list their property.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be set up for fail. And you kind of feel like that's probably your mindset too. It's just whatever it takes to make sure that the win happens for them.
Absolutely.
Even, to the point where if they have to maybe try, go lose with somebody else, that's what I said. Hopefully they sell it for you, man. But man, I can't see it. But how is it? Go ahead.
We don't succeed by guarding these opportunities and guarding these clients. We succeed by helping each other out. Again, with the people who help me manage so much and juggle so much, I could never do this by myself. I feel like we must rely on each other in order for everybody to exceed, especially our buyers and sellers.
Yeah. And again, like the best outcome is everybody wins, right? Like I was with RE/MAX for 6-7 years, and that was their motto was, like everybody wins. That's what they wanted. And that really did teach me a lot. Shifting gears just a little bit, we talked a lot about all kinds of stuff, insurance, everything, but let's shift back to the land world. All right. What do you think people really should know, or what do they not know about land agents that they maybe should know?
Okay, well, I think for buyers, what they should know is to not rush it and to walk it. Visit it more than once, more than twice. Go see it after it rains. Okay, so these are all things that I would suggest to buyers to do. And as far as what they might not know about the land agents is like the boots on the ground aspect of it. Like you might not know how hard it is to get a sign, a big real estate sign into clay. So I really need a sign guy, Koby. So that's something people might not know about land agents is I'm out there digging those holes myself, making it work in 100-degree heat.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like too terribly much fun, but
it is, but it's good though, because if I'm putting a sign in the ground, it means that I've got this piece of property that can be somebody's dream. And so it's worth it, but it does make me realize like the boots on the ground part of it.
Yeah, I definitely like, that's one of the things that as I started decided that I wanted to have go get my license in multiple states and work a little bit bigger area. And the reality is I just want to build a team in those areas. Like I don't necessarily feel like I need to go to Alabama and list a property, but I want to build, so we've made those arrangements so that those areas that we're filling them in with team members. And but it's really interesting how different, even from northeastern Arkansas, where you can get away with corrugated, essentially corrugated signs on, like I call them political yard signs. Like those guys use political yard signs down there for their real estate signs. Up here,
that must be nice.
Yeah, I know. Like probably like where you're at, where I'm at, we have like steel frames and metal signs and bolted together.
70-mile-an-hour winds ready to take those down at any moment.
That's exactly right. And there's a thing where I'm from that's called, every 2 or 3 weeks we go check our signs, right, to make sure that the guys are always giving me a hard time because I'll drive by and take a picture if their sign's crooked and send it to them and say, "What are we doing? Like what?"
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. It's how we're showing ourselves to the world. I don't want to be shown as crooked. I want to have a good presentation.
I'll send them a picture of their sign and say, "Are you applying at another company that I don't know of?" Like somebody else. There's some people that don't care about them, and I'm definitely not that guy. But you've talked, and I kind of want to circle back to this before we end today. Is you've talked an awful lot about legacy and your family's legacy, and like just that connection to the 1800s, right? Like, isn't that just insane that you can go stand on your property and know that at one point your kin was standing there, in the 1800s? Like, and so I really want to know is like if someone inherited a family farm or ranch tomorrow and had no idea what they needed to do, what would be like some advice that you would give them? Going through what even you went through.
Yes. So I did. I got handed a big slab of potential that was already established, but I could have just as easily ruined that as I have building it up and up. But one thing I would talk about, if somebody inherited land, I would suggest that they get an LLC to put in the farm. And this is because if you have, let's say you have a tractor, let's put that on your insurance policy with your LLC. So that way, if your tractor has a claim, it's not going to affect your home insurance premiums. Let's separate those two out just a little bit. It gives you protection, and it also helps making tax time easier. You have these separate businesses all going on. You're able to give them to your accountant appropriately. Instead of it all just being on your personal name, let's get some LLCs involved. Let's get some protection for ourselves. And also, well, it's just really cool to have an LLC too.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's nice. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, and I think like the rules of the limited liability companies is that, and I don't know like litigation wise, whether I'm not giving legal advice, I'm just saying this is the way I understand it is you really can't lose more than you've got into it, so there's some rules on that's liability protection.
Yeah.
Just like you said, not just an insurance protection, but a straight up liability protection.
Also,
super smart advice.
Yeah. Also, it's good to, if you inherit this land, surprisingly, let's get to an attorney and draft what would happen if you were to die the next day. Okay. I want this legacy to pass on to my kids. When people die, sometimes families get real sour and things get twisted, and it is not fun. You want to have that laid out and protected for the people you care about the most and the land that you cherish so much, or the house or the business or whatever it is. Like, we want to make sure that things are in place for worst case scenarios. Always. I think that's the insurance agent in me talking. We're always thinking about worst case scenarios.
Yeah. Very positive business you're in.
Yeah.
That's fun. But now, what's if you could give one piece of advice to a young professional that's looking to get into either the insurance or the brokerage, like real estate business, like what would be something that you would tell them?
I would tell them learn more than just the contracts. The contracts are very important to learn. I'm not downplaying that at all. Like, we need to know what's in those contracts in order to not be surprised. And, time is of the essence in a lot of paragraphs. But I would say for new land agents that they would want to study, the land itself, the soil, the water, what agriculture is in the area. What are the farmers growing? When is the harvest time? When is the planting time? The wildlife as well. What can we plant to attract these animals, or what can we do to attract these animals? Which of course is water. that's that's just what we always go back to is the water. Also, the county regulations. Get your boots literally on the ground, walk those property lines, and listen more than you talk. And lastly, just never stop learning.
That's awesome. That is some super smart advice for people that are wanting to get in there, because I kind of you went through a lot of detail, but this is what I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do your research, take care of your client. Listen more than you talk. What is the old thing that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth because he wants you to listen twice as much as you speak? So
it's been a long time since I've heard that saying.
I'm picking up some oldies but goodies here. All right. Well, I appreciate you so much coming on here. And I really do. I'm excited, Jenna, because you are now taking over a sponsorship for the American Land Seller podcast for the next few months. So we're excited to have you on board. I hope you love the commercials that our team has come up for you on here. We'll be celebrating you on our social media and things like that as well. And so as we close out here, where can people find you?
Hey, well, you can definitely find me on the phone. I'm very much in pocket. I'm not an agent that's going to send it to voicemail. I pick up the phone when somebody calls, and that's important for clients, for other agents, for everybody. So you can find me on the phone, 940-203-3154. Also, Facebook, love it. I mean, it's the way that our small town community connects with one another. So you can find me on Facebook at Jenna Searcey, real estate agent, certified insurance counselor. Back to that mouthful. And also online for my insurance office, we've got charlesbakerinsurance.com. And yeah, I would just love to connect, whether you're a buyer, a seller, or another agent. Let's make something happen.
Yeah, well, it's been great getting to know you through this whole process. I appreciate, again, your patience with our technical difficulties. And it's just some days the interweb doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. So
yes, that's right. I love technology until I don't.
We worked through it, and everybody got to see 2 of my wonderful shirts that I have on. And you're a trooper. You went home, washed yours, and came back in the same gear. So If the insurance and the real estate stuff doesn't work out, I was in the military for a while, and I think, being able to be bendy like that, you could probably work out there too. So, well, thanks again, Jenna, for being a part of this today, and for everybody else, we will see you all down the road. All right.
As we wrap up another episode of the American Land Seller podcast, thank you for spending part of your week with us. For more episodes, resources, and updates, visit www.americanlandseller.com and be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you found value in today's conversation, please like, subscribe, follow, rate, and review the show on whatever app you are listening or watching on. It helps more landowners and land professionals find the podcast. You can also connect with us on social media for updates, new episodes, and behind-the-scenes content. Until next week, Koby and Brittany wish you success in all your land endeavors. God bless you, and have a great week.
The American Land Seller podcast is proud to be sponsored by Jenna Searcey and the Sunset Realty team. If you're buying or selling farm, ranch, or rural property in Texas, you deserve someone who understands the land because she lives it. Jenna Searcey is a Texas realtor, landowner, agricultural manager, and lifelong advocate for rural communities. She believes land is more than acreage. It's legacy, livelihood, and opportunity. And she's passionate about helping clients navigate every step of the process with confidence. To learn more, call Jenna at 940-033-154 or email Jenna at jennasearcey.com. The Sunset Realty team is proudly brokered by City Real Estate, a trusted full-service brokerage serving Texas since 2000, with offices in Monday, Texas. We are also proud to be sponsored by Iron Horse Land Company, a multi-state land brokerage specializing in farm, ranch, recreational, and development land across the heartland. Built by land professionals, Iron Horse Land Company sets the iron standard through high-quality marketing, real-world land expertise, and a boots-on-the-ground approach that puts landowners first. To learn more, visit ironhorselandcompany.com.